Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Gaia Sanctorum. I'm super excited for today because I'm in my kitchen and I am showing you how to blend herbs with traditional foods to make not only an incredible meal, but also an incredibly healthy one that is full of medicine of all different kinds. So today I'm making my Yiayia Fasolada. It is a Greek soup. Traditionally, it is beans and vegetables and herbs. She made hers a little bit different. So I'm going to show you how my Yiayia made hers. And I hope that you really enjoy it. So let's jump right in. I've got the pot getting hot. I am working in a cast iron Dutch oven. And we put about a quarter of a cup of olive oil in the bottom and let that get good and hot. So this particular dish is amazing for wintertime, right? It's Saturn, it's Capricorn season, Saturn's time, very grounding foods, very earthy, warming, so many great aromatics. We're going to start with traditional onions. We're going to fry the onions up really good. And like I said, traditionally, this is a white bean soup. Now, in a lot of places, it is made with cannellini beans or Great Northern beans. Me personally, I absolutely love butter beans. So when I make this, I will buy the Italian butter beans. Now, butter beans are a little bit harder to find dried. So I have used some canned ones that I get. It's an Italian brand that they have at the store that I go to. But it is just an incredible source of fiber and vitamins and protein, and they taste amazing. One of the things that you want to keep in mind with this dish is by the end, the beans are cooked to where they're almost creamy in the sauce. So it's not a very brothy soup. To me, it's much more like a stew. And so I absolutely love it. Now, my Yiayia always she added lamb to everything pretty much. But so I make it with lamb in it. If you're plant-based, you don't have to. This is an entire yellow onion that we're going to sweat out and caramelize really well. It really is just already smelling amazing in here. Now, this particular soup was called Food of the Gods because it has a little bit of everything. It has 7 different herbs in it. I always use fresh herbs. If you don't have access to fresh herbs, you can use dried in this. But in this particular recipe, fresh herbs really, really shine. And it is such a beautiful thing when you're cooking and you can smell the herbs and the aromatics. So starts with what is typically called a mirepoix in French. Technically, it's a sofrito because we will also be adding a fair amount of garlic to it. That is the Italian version. So this is the base of so many different soups and stews for a very good reason. First of all, the onions and the carrots and the celery and the garlic, in addition to being incredibly aromatic, they are high in antioxidants. They've got vitamins A and C and K from the carrots, minerals, fiber for your digestion. They help immunity. They help with cellular health. It is a nutritional powerhouse. So if you're feeling under the weather, this will absolutely fix that. Or at least it'll make you feel better while you don't feel good. So there is actually a science behind mirepoix, sofrito. You're going to find it also like in Cajun and Creole cooking. They call it the Trinity Each one is a little bit different. The traditional mirepoix is onions, carrots, and celery. And there's a good reason for that. So first of all, onions are incredibly aromatic. But when you caramelize them, when you saute them and you cook them until the sugars start to break down in the onions, it gives you takes that aromatic flavor and it mellows it and it makes it such a deeper, richer flavor. So that is super important. Now, when you've got the aromatics of the onions, when you add the carrot and the celery, the carrot itself is an incredibly sweet food. So as those caramelize, it loads natural sweetness into the dish to keep it from being bitter. And then with celery, when you cook celery, celery naturally is very, very bitter. Especially, like, you can taste it when you taste the leaves. And don't get me wrong, bitter flavors are incredibly good for you. They stimulate the liver. So, but when you cook the celery down and you caramelize it, what it does is it layers in this super earthy umami flavor into the food. So you've got aromatics layered with sweetness, layered with umami. It just adds a depth of flavor to your cooking that is, in my opinion, just out of this world. So the onions are just about translucent. They're going to caramelize up some more as we cook the meat and the vegetables into it. So I'm going to go ahead. This is a pound of ground lamb. I'm going to go ahead and add that into it. This is pastured lamb. Please make sure if you're using meat for your own health reasons, try to get grass-fed or pastured meat, whether it's lamb or hamburger or steaks. It really does make a difference. I know things are pricey and hard to afford nowadays, but if you can, that's one of those things that I try to not skimp on when I'm cooking for myself. Whereas saturated fat that is from pastured animals is incredibly healthy for you. Unfortunately, the saturated fat from commercially farmed and factory farmed meats are not as much because there's so many antibiotics and pesticides and things in the feed that they feed the animals that it's incredibly difficult to, it comes out in the meat. There's no way for it not to. And if that is not enough of a reason for you not to do it, the flavor, if you taste the flavor of grass-fed or pastured meat versus commercially farmed meat, it's completely different. It is completely different. I have a friend who hated meat, would never eat it. And then I had made something and I told her, I was like, there's meat in it. Would you like to at least try it? And there was no other reason other than the fact she just didn't like the taste of meat. And when it was cooked up, she tried some and she told me that she had honestly never in her life tasted meat that actually tasted good. So that to me was a great test or bar to go by, because if somebody doesn't like meat, chances of them liking meat in general are going to be slim. But she said that the flavor was completely different, that it didn't make her feel sick. And so there is a thing to it, basically. And so if you've never tried, I highly suggest giving it a shot. You would be amazed at how incredibly different it does taste. Now, one of the things you'll notice about this recipe is there is a lot of olive oil in this recipe. Olive oil is incredibly healthy, but if you are trying to lose weight, you can absolutely cut back on the amount of olive oil that's in this recipe. The omega-3s in olive oil are incredible for you. So, and I'm not on a diet, so I don't mind a little extra calories. I have a hard time. I'm pretty much on the 1 meal a day plan and grazing, so a little extra fat in the diet does not hurt. All right, so we've got our lamb and our onions completely cooked up and mixed together. Now we're going to add This is, look, so in my household, in my Yiayia's household, the way I was raised, garlic is measured with love. So if you do not like strong garlic flavor, you can absolutely omit it from this recipe. I love garlic. So I have 2 full heads of garlic because not only does it taste amazing, but it is incredibly good for your health in every way, shape, and form. It's antioxidant, it's antibacterial, it's antimicrobial, it's pretty much anti-everything, and it's great for your heart health. It's a natural blood thinner. So knock yourselves out with it. Now that I've got the garlic and onions in there, we've got our aromatics in there, I'm going to add a little bit of Himalayan salt. I personally I like my food salty, but not everybody does. So I tend to kind of hold back when I'm cooking and put it on my plate. One of the other key ingredients for this, and if you can't find this at local Mediterranean stores or local international store or anything like that, you can always substitute either crushed red pepper or cayenne. This is Aleppo pepper. It's a special pepper that comes from the Middle East. It's not super, super hot, but it's got amazing flavor. And it just really adds such a great layer of flavor to the dish. So we're going to mix that in really good. Oh, that smells amazing. I may be having some for lunch because now I prefer butter beans, which are really hard to find dry here. So I bought canned beans, which you can absolutely use canned beans, couple cans, rinse them, drain them, all the things. If you have dry beans, you can absolutely just soak them overnight. The only difference between doing that and what I'm doing today would be the cooking time. So with canned beans, you only really need to let it cook for about 45 minutes. If you're using dried beans that you've soaked, it's probably a good idea to let it cook for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. You want to make sure you cook it till the beans are completely cooked and falling apart. All right, so this is the remaining of our trinity. This is 3 carrots and 3 stalks of celery, roughly diced, chopped. And look how beautiful that looks. There's just something about it. It never gets old. And so this is when all those flavors are going to start melding together. It really is one of the most relaxing and meditative things. That's what I love most about cooking. To me, it's super meditative. I try to really just put all my love and my energy into it because I believe that helps the medicine as well. And that's something that my Yiayia used to tell me all the time. She used to tell me not to cook when I was angry or when I was upset or worried because those emotions, that energy goes into the food. And I 1,000% agree with her. So as you can see, it's going to be a very thick soup, as you can see. We still have to add beans and herbs and stuff like that. So it's not a thin soup. And it really is, this right here could be the base for just about any soup or ragu that you're making. It's very translatable. And that's one of the things I love about this recipe is, yes, traditionally it's white beans and vegetables, but you could make this with whatever you have on hand. So if all you have are pintos, you could absolutely make it with pintos. Would it change the flavor a little bit? Yes. Would I add jalapenos? Yes. So it's a great base recipe for just about anything. But also, if you're watching this video, the recipe card for this is available for free in my community. The link will be down below in the video. And if you are interested in things like holistic health and ancestral wisdom and traditional foods and herbalism and kind of how to weave all that together. That's kind of what we do here. And so I hope that you guys find this helpful and interesting. And if you do try this recipe, I would love to see pictures, or I would love to hear how it turned out for you, because, and what your opinions are on it, because it's one of my favorite recipes. So I'm going to be trying to do these recipe videos, at least 1 or 2 of them a month. And I hope that you guys enjoy them. So if you do, like, subscribe, leave a comment. It really does help. It helps the channel out, and it helps me out because this is a new channel. I just really want people to have access to this information, because it seems like so many people nowadays just they don't have access to it. And they, I want people to understand that it's really not complicated. Once you understand some basic principles of it, it really is a wonderful way to live your life. I like it because it has forced me to really slow down. And in our hustle culture, that is such an important thing, I think. It really is. People feel like they don't have the time. But when you do take the time, it is amazing at how much better you feel, right? When you get the time to actually stop and cook food that honors your body, it's an amazing feeling. All right, so we've got those. Now, we're going to start working on some herbs. So we have, so the first thing we're going to add is some fresh chopped oregano. It smells amazing. We have a few stalks of fresh rosemary. I kind of like to bury them. Now, we're going to add the beans. This is 2 15-ounce cans of butter beans. We are going to add another 1/4 cup of olive oil. Look at that. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Sorry. Now, this is 1 15-ounce can of organic crushed tomatoes from Italy. These are San Marzanos. Highly recommend them. They have the highest natural sweetness of any tomato out there, especially if you're using canned tomatoes. All right, look at that. Now, you're going to add 8 to 10 cups of chicken or beef stock. You can use, I use organic bone broth concentrate. So, the bone broth has added collagen in it, and it's super, super, super good for your connective tissue. I pretty much use bone broth in just about everything that I cook, just because it is so incredible. Now, the rest of the herbs that we're going to add right now, these are fresh bay leaf. Add three or four sprigs of rosemary, 3 or 4 sprigs of thyme, 3 or 4 sprigs of oregano, and then 3 or 4 whole bay leaf. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cover this. I don't cover it all the way. I tend to leave it cracked just a little bit. We're going to bring it to a simmer. We're going to boil, and then lower it to a simmer and let it cook. I said for canned beans, about 45 minutes. For dried beans that you've soaked, about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and let this simmer, and then we will come back and check on it when I'm done. Welcome back, folks. So it's been 45 minutes. Everything has been simmering absolutely incredibly. It smells phenomenal in here. Right there. Now, for the finishing touches, you can attempt to pull the rosemary and everything out. Traditionally, we just kind of leave it in, but you do want to make sure that you are not, you don't want anybody to eat the bay leaf. I actually had a bad experience with my son one time. Ate a little bit too fast and attempted to eat a bay leaf. So, but what you can do is you can leave them in or pull them out. I'm going to pull them out currently. Now, oh, look at that. They look so yummy. So, you just don't want these big sticks in. They're great for flavor. The actual stalks of the rosemary are incredibly flavorful, and they add an amazing amount of medicine to the pot. I'm looking for one more. There it is. When you add the entire sticks into the pot, most of the leaves just fall off, and so they become part of the soup. Getting a couple of the bigger branches of thyme out of there. I don't know about anybody else, but it kind of sucks when you get a stick in your mouth. So I do take them out. My grandmother used to leave them in. But so as you can see now, the soup is incredibly, if you look, it's thickened up. The beans have kind of turned to mush, and it's gotten kind of a creamier texture to it. So what we're going to do now, as I said before, this recipe has 7 herbs. And so the other herbs that are going in here, I rough chopped some of the celery leaves because it's great flavor. So I've got that and fresh dill and fresh mint that I have chopped up. So we're going to add those in. When you add these aromatic herbs, first of all, they're super bright. They smell amazing. And they add an incredible amount of medicine to it, but it also adds a really fresh, bright flavor to the soup that is just amazing. And then just to make it even, there's another thyme stick. Just to make it a little bit more medicinal, as if it wasn't already really, really good for you. In the spring, fresh wild greens are very, very common in Greece. It's called horta. And so I'm going to add these in and wilt them into the, it adds a little bit of a bitter flavor, but incredibly nutritious for you. So we're going to add that in. That's about 4 cups of dandelion greens. Look at that. That just looks incredible. So these greens are great because they will stew directly into the pot. So we are going to stir them up a little bit, let them wilt down. And if you look at this, it is absolutely just full of incredible medicine. It helps every part of your body. It helps your nervous system. It helps your digestion. It is incredibly beautiful. So look at that. And as you'll notice, the dandelion greens just automatically wilt down into the soup, the heat of them. And that's why you don't want to add them ahead of time. They do wilt and cook really quickly. And so you don't want to lose that fresh crunch and the flavor of the spring dandelions. So I'll let that come right back up to a simmer for a second. And we're going to serve. So, now there is a specific way that this is plated up. And the way that my grandmother used to do it. Now, when you serve this soup, look at all that beautiful food. There's just pretty. I want a little bit of the broth, right? So, one of the most important parts of this dish is the olive oil. So, once it's finished cooking, I'm going to drizzle just a little bit of green olive oil in there. And that is fasolada. Enjoy.